In this series, we'll be making a horror game from the ground up and teaching you everything along the way. From researching, theorizing, and prototyping, to main menus, UI, and sound. Join me and follow along to become the master game developer you want to be. I would like to preface this episode by letting you know that it took so long because I was scared to make it. If you're interested in the creative process or go through these things as well, stick around to the end. But for now, let's get going. Alright, let's quickly go back over what we want our ghosts to do. We want them to spawn up here, choose a path, and make it to our room. They're going to do this by attaching themselves to quadrants that we're going to place throughout the hallways, and interact with things in those quadrants to give us the evidence we need to know how to kill it once it enters the room. We're also going to need a vent on each side that gives access to these two side rooms. One quick preface. We are probably going to have to go back and fix things and change things as we move forward. I'm leaving these in, not because I'm lazy, but because I think it's important to show you that you're not always going to land on your feet every single time. Okay, let's start with the quadrants. The quadrants are actually going to be fairly easy. What we're going to do is we're going to hit Control Space to open up our content browser down here. We are going to right click, we are going to create a blueprint class, and we are going to create an actor. I'm going to name this quadrant underscore BP for blueprint. I'm going to open that up. With that open, at the top left, what we're going to do is add a box collision. Now, the good thing about the box collision is that over here on the right, the box extent, these are variables, which means that we don't need to set these because every time we place another box quadrant, we're able to change the extents and it's not going to affect the others, which is perfect. For now, that is all we need. So we're going to go ahead and compile and save and head back to our world scene. Now, I'm not 100% sure what I want each quadrant to be. So for now, we're just going to make a couple of basic quadrants and we'll change them once we actually have access to gameplay. Let's go ahead and drag our first quadrant out onto the field. And what we're going to do is we're going to bring that up to about the middle of the hallway like that. And on the right hand side with the quadrant selected, if you see here, you can actually see the BP is outlined over here under the details. So if you just click the box we created, you'll see that box extent is now here and we can adjust it. So I'm going to do 150 in each of these to start. And this is the size of the quadrant we get whenever we do 150 in all directions. It's not perfect. Now, do note that it doesn't need to be perfect, but how we're going to code this is if there are things within the quadrant, the ghost will basically be in range to mess with it, which means we do need the quadrants to be pretty perfect, but little wiggle room is fine. Let's try 190 in each direction here. We don't need to go any higher, that's for sure. Ooh, did I nail it? Ooh, not quite. We got a little bit extra here. So let's do 185 on the Y. Ooh, 180. There we go. That is damn near perfect. Now we'll pull this back like that. Oh, it's not as quite as perfect as I thought. I think 185 might actually be best here. It wasn't centered when I made that comment. There we go. This is looking a little better. There you go. See how it fits real nice and snug in there? The height doesn't matter too much. Just make sure it definitely goes above the top of the walls. If you want to make those perfect because you have OCD or whatever, go for it, but it doesn't matter. So naming these is going to be important because we're going to need to know where these are located. So over here on the right hand side, make sure quadrant BP is selected, and we're going to hit F2. And what we're going to do at the beginning of the name, this is going to be the northwest hallway. So we'll call this north. Actually, let's make it short. NW for NW for northwest underscore hallway underscore. So now we have northwest hallway quadrant BP. So now whenever we look at the map like this, we know that this is the northwest hallway. And if we hold in the Alt button, make sure you press W first so the arrows are showing. Hold in Alt and pull. We'll duplicate it and we'll bring it to the other side. And we're going to name this one. Oh, you know what I did? Look, this might happen to you too, so it's important we talk about this. I had the box selected and not the BP. So whenever we held Alt and duplicated, look, we created another box. So we're going to delete that. We don't want that. We want the whole BP selected. You can either click off of it and click back onto it to get the whole BP, or you can just click at the top where it says the name with the self. With that selected, hold Alt and drag. Get it snug in the corner. So fun fact for you, for those that are new, you see how this line is like almost dotted? That's because it's snug in the corner. And you can see it's not like that with this one because it's not snug in the corner. But if I move this way one, it's not moving one, so it slightly goes in the wall, so it's not working. But if you're ever wanting something snug, look for that dotted line. We're going to name this one, of course. We're going to just F2. We're going to delete the 2 at the end. And on the NW, we're just going to make it NE. So that's northwest and northeast. Perfect. So in order for this to work, we are going to have to add at least 2 more, which is the bare minimum we're going to add. So that way we can get the code working. Once again, make sure the BP is selected. Hold Alt, click the red arrow, drag. I'm going to center this one in front of the door for now. And instead of northeast, I'm going to, again, remove the 2 and just remove the N. So now we have, excuse me, we have the east hallway quadrant. Hold Alt, drag. Bring this one over here. Look for that dotted line so we know it's snug on the wall. And we're going to name this one, remove the 2, W west, or W hallway quadrant for west. Perfect. So I'm going to go ahead and save just to make sure nothing changes here. And now what we need to do is tell the ghost the routes that it can take. So for now, the routes are going to be very simple. It's going to spawn up here in this hallway, and the routes are going to be northeast to east or northwest to west. We're going to keep it simple for now. And we're actually going to open up the level blueprint. If you've never opened up the level blueprint, it is basically where all the code is going to go that is level specific. If you need a door to stay closed until something's interacted with, level blueprint. If you need specific routes using quadrants, level blueprint. Now, if they're global and you can use them anywhere, maybe not the level blueprint. But for now, to get to it at the top here, you'll see this little graph looking thing with a drop down arrow. Go ahead and click that and open up the level blueprint. In here is where we're going to do all of our code for the level specific stuff. Now, there's something special about the level blueprint that other blueprints do not do. If we head back to the security office and we select our first quadrant here, which will be the northwest hallway quadrant, have it selected, go to the security office blueprint, right click, and look, we can create a reference to that quadrant. Look at that. So we're going to do this for all of our quadrants really fast. Okay, once you have finished yours, what we're going to do is we're going to tell the game to make an array out of these quadrants, but not all of them. So to give you an example of what we're going to do, we're going to go over to variables. We're going to click on a new one, and we're going to name it Q path 1. I was trying to think if we wanted to be more specific with the name, but for now we're just going to do QPath1. In the variable type, we are actually going to use the quadrant BP, and we're going to get an object reference. And since we need an array, we're going to right-click the icon. So we have QPath1, which is an array of our quadrants. So the first thing we want to do is create a custom event, and we're going to call it create west path. And through create west path, we are going to pull out QPath1. We're going to get it. Make a little bit of room here. Pull these back a little bit even. Yeah. And we're going to hit add unique. We're going to drag this over, and we're going to add Northwest Hall Quadrant BP. So it's important to start with this one, because if we head back over to the security office, Northwest will be the first one that it has access to as it comes down the hallway. So since we want this to be the first one, we need to add it first, which means if you've been watching my series, you know that it's in the 0th position. So now what we're going to do is we're going to do the exact same thing. Get QPath1. Let's actually switch where these are at, just because it'll be a little bit cleaner. We're going to add unique. And plug it in. Now we're going to do this. We're going to hit grab it all. We're going to hit C for comment, and we're going to hit create the west path by adding the quadrants in the order we need them. Perfect. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to call this as soon as the level starts. So what we're going to do is hold in P on the keyboard and click, and that'll get us the begin play. You can, of course, just type in begin play, and normally it'll pop up. Oh, I spelled it wrong, so it didn't. But you can type it in, but it's much quicker to hit P. And the first thing we're going to plug it into is create west path. Now we might change that, but for now, that's why, or we're going to just do that. Create another one, begin, play. Okay. So we're going to do it again, but with the east path. Create custom event, create east path. Now we're going to create another variable, Q path 2. I do think we should have made these more specifically named. Change the first one to QPath NW, and we'll name this one QPath NE. And the reason we're going to add in the NE and NW is because what we'll do is if they start in the rooms to the west and to the east, you know, if they take the vents, we'll just name those west and east, and that will give us more specifics on which one we're dealing with, and we won't have to remember, like, specifically, was it 1, 2, 3, or 4? Okay. Go ahead and pull this out. Add unique. So the reason we're adding unique, by the way, which you can just keep following along, this stuff's not that hard, it's getting pretty monotonous at this point. The reason we're using add unique is because we're never going to want more than 2 of one of these quadrants in the path. And obviously, the chances of it getting called twice and adding more than 1 is pretty low. But the point is, we never need more than 1. So it's kind of just like an extra safeguard. There's no reason not to do this. Create east path by adding the quadrants in the order we need them. So there we go. We have create west path, extend this out, drag out, create east path. So you'll note that on event begin play, something other people don't do, and I think that it's a better habit, is anytime you need something to happen at the start, turn it into a custom event, so that way we're not adding all this code onto event begin play. No matter how simple it is, just create a function, and then you've got this nice, simple node path, and it looks nice and clean, and then you've got specific things to call when you need things done. Okay, so now we have our quadrants created. We have their path set up. Let's move on to the ghost. Minor side note, to be consistent, I'm going to change my comments really quick, because you can see I said create west path. No. Let's be consistent. Create the northwest path and the northeast path. Anyway, go ahead and hit Control Space on the keyboard. And within actors, we're going to right click. We're going to hit a blueprint class. And this is where we're going to mix things up. We're actually not going to make an actor. We're going to make a character. And I'll show you why we do that in just a moment. We are going to name this Parent Ghost. Why do we name it Parent Ghost? We name it parent ghost because what we're going to do, don't do it yet, but what we're going to do is if you right click parent ghost, you can see at the top here we can create a child blueprint class. What that's going to do is take everything we program into the parent ghost and create a subcategory for anything that's special about that specific one. So for example, if we create a parent ghost that can do the things that all the ghosts can do, then when we create a child, all we have to do is add in the little extra things that is unique to that ghost. However, we also get additional benefit. So you know how if you were to open a blueprint and create a variable and you wanted a generic variable that just calls whatever ghost is in the level, the issue you would run into is that you would need a specific variable for every single ghost type. Because if you set a variable to a certain blueprint, then what happens whenever you want to call any of the ghosts, but this one is specifically a phantom? It's going to create issues. The blueprint's not going to work. But if you call the parent ghost, then the blueprint knows what variables are there regardless of whether the child is different. If any of that didn't make sense, do not panic. I'm just trying to explain it. However, we're going to continue. Do not panic, and hopefully it'll make more sense as we progress. Go ahead and open the parent ghost. Now, what you'll notice is it comes with some default stuff here. It comes with a capsule component, an arrow. It even has a default static or skeletal mesh here, and character movement. This is why we created a character BP. That means like it has just the default stuff we need to basically make this something that can move around, which is what we want from the ghosts. Honestly, right now, there's nothing we really need to change. However, we are going to go ahead and start adding in some variables. We're going to go ahead and click add on the variables, and we're going to add a ghost type variable. Now, the ghost type variable is going to be a name. So go ahead and click on name, and what we're going to do is add another variable named ghost types. So we have ghost types and ghost type. Types, go ahead and right click and make it an array. So basically the reason we're doing this is we're storing the data of what this can be on the blueprint. So in ghost types, for example, if we compile and save so that way we can access these variables, on the right hand side, what we're going to do is we can hit plus. And for example, you know what? Let's go ahead and pull up this document I created, which let me zoom in a little bit. This document I created so we know which ones we need. We're going to need a shade, a poltergeist, demon, banshee, and raiju. I'm not going to remember that, but I'll try. So we're going to need a shade, add, poltergeist. Did I spell that correctly? One moment. Holy shit, I did. It was shade, poltergeist, demon, banshee, and raiju. If you hear that, they're doing tractor pulls at the end of the street. So that's what that is. Demon. I got distracted. Banshee and raiju. Banshee and the raiju. Perfect. So if we go ahead and compile and save, now whenever one of these spawns, we're going to be able to pick one of those randomly, and based on which one of these it gets, we will then create logic that says, is this a shade? Is this a poltergeist? Is this a demon? And depending on which one it is going to then act accordingly. So let's go ahead and program that. Let's go ahead and delete all of these. And what we're going to do is create a custom event, and we're going to call it pick ghost type. Now, obviously, this might change depending on what level we're on. For example, if we're on level 1, maybe we only want it to be 2 of the easier ghost types to identify, rather than level 5, where it could be all the ghost types. We want to be able to control that. So we're actually going to go ahead and create an additional variable, and we're going to call this available ghosts, like that. And we're actually going to make this an integer. And it does not need to be an array. This can just be a regular, simple old integer. And that means available ghosts. You know what? Actually, never mind. I think this will work. If it doesn't, well, here we go. Here's your first mistake. We'll see. Head over to the level blueprint, and we're going to create a custom event. So go ahead and create a custom event, and we are going to type in available ghost update. Available ghost update. Okay. So, depending on we're going to create a save file eventually, so this might be a little Neanderthal, very brute force at the moment, but don't worry, it'll become more elegant later because we don't have a save file yet. So for right now, we're going to brute force this, and don't worry. What we're going to do is we're going to create a variable specifically within the level blueprint here, and we're going to call it available ghosts. We're going to make that an integer as well, and it just needs to be a single integer, not an array. Go ahead and compile and save. Pull that out, hit get. And we don't need to set this in the level blueprint. Like, for example, we don't need to drag this out and set it because we're going to do it right here because it's going to be on a per level basis. So in this case, we're going to say we only want the first two ghosts to appear. So do we put a 2 here? No, let's start at 0. So we need to put a 1. We have the first two ghosts being available on this first level. But what we do need to do is create another custom event. And we're going to call this get player ref, like that. And we're going to pull out of this, and we are going to cast to the first. Oh, sorry. Oh, why is that cast to first person? Yeah, first person character. That was weird. I don't know why my brain failed there. Cast a first person character, and out of object, we're going to get player character. And the whole point of this is we are going to pull out of the as first and BP character, and we are going to promote it to a variable. On the left hand side, though, I like to change the name of this to the player ref. And I specifically like my references on the top. It's just a formatting thing for me to keep things organized. We're going to go ahead and comment this as get player ref. This is very common to do, by the way, in almost every level in every game. So get used to this. And the reason this is important is because, well, we're going to change things about the player depending on, you know, things about the level. So now we need to add that to the event begin play. We're going to get player ref, the new thing we just made. So now as soon as the game starts, we're going to have a reference to the player, and what we're going to be able to do now, because we have the player ref, is through the player ref, if you remember, if we go back to, okay, here's our first failfish. Basically we didn't put it in the player, we put it in the parent ghost. So actually, okay, things are going to get complicated fast. This is one of the reasons I was scared to make this, by the way, and like I said, I'll give more details of that at the end. However, what we're gonna do is we're actually gonna go over to our world. We're gonna control space, and we're gonna learn about something complicated that I was hoping to put off till later, but we can't. So in your blueprints folder, we're gonna create another folder, and we're gonna call it systems. Okay. Within the systems folder, we are actually going to create a blueprint class. However, what we need is a game instance. Down here under all classes, open this up and type in game instance. And we are going to get a game instance and select that. We're going to call this my game instance. Think of a game instance as a box that exists outside of your game that creates variables. Then when you move around in the game and switch levels, that box is still there because it exists outside of the game. So go ahead and open up the My Game instance. We're going to create a variable called available ghosts, and we're going to make that an integer. Compile, save. That's all we have to do. So instead of the player ref, what we're going to do, which by the way, we're still going to do this because we're going to need it. This is not useless. We're going to create another custom event, and this one's going to be get game instance ref. Again, something very common and something you're going to do a lot. So before we do that, actually, at the top left, go ahead and click edit. Go to project settings. And at the top, just type in game instance. And you'll see that currently it's using game instance. But if you open this up, the one you created called My Game Instance should be there now. So go ahead and click it. And that's all we have to do there. So now we can access the My Game Instance. We're going to drag out and we're going to cast to My Game Instance. Out of object, we are going to get the game instance. And then we are going to, out of the as my game instance, create or promote to variable. And I am going to name this, you guessed it, game instance ref. I like to keep it at the top. We're going to comment this to get the game instance, the game instance ref. Like that, and add it to our event begin play. Now, just so you know, by the way, the order that you put these on the event begin play matters, but it doesn't. Forget I said that for now. Up here out of event begin play, go ahead and get game instance ref. Boom. So now that we have a reference to the game instance, which as I said is a box outside of the game, what we're going to do is we're going to take available ghosts and send that to the game instance. So now that we have a game instance ref we can work with, what we're going to do is we are going to pull out of it and we can hit set available ghosts. And as you can see, this is the available ghosts that's saved in our game instance. Otherwise, it wouldn't let us plug this in. And obviously, the number we're going to use is independent to this level, which is why we're going to use this variable to set it. We're going to hit comment, and we're going to type in set available ghosts. Now, the only reason I'm bringing this up is because right now it just happened to work like this, but there are times where you have to be careful with your event begin play. So let me show you what I mean. If we did this first, which I don't know how because we wouldn't have the game instance ref, but just as an example. So if we pull this out and we type in available ghost update, and then we plugged this in like that, this is going to give us errors. It's not going to work. The reason is because it's going to get the player ref, it's going to set the available ghost update, and then get the instance ref. But it can't do that because in order for the available ghost update to work, it needs the instance ref. So it happened to work in our favor this time, but in the future, if you're getting errors when you're building and creating your games, pay attention to the order that your logic is happening. Cool. Compile and save. This is a heavy episode for new people. Don't be scared to ask questions. I will do my best to get back to anyone that asks questions. I promise I will try my hardest. Okay. Head back to your parent ghost. So now whenever we go to pick a ghost type, we're going to need access to the game instance. Remember how I said this is really normal and get used to it? Well, for now, let's just go ahead and copy, bring it over to the parent ghost type, paste, and on the left, add a new variable, call it game instance ref. Make sure you spell it exactly the same. And as the variable type, just do my game instance and just do an object reference. Yeah. If it does this, it's fine. Don't worry about it. Bring it to the top and comment this. Get the game instance ref. Go ahead and hit P, click, get the event begin play, and of course, drag out get game instance ref. Like that. Create a comment. Event begin play. Cool. However, we're actually going to do something that takes a little bit of explanation. So, why can't we go straight from the get game instance ref into our pick ghost type? We're going to have access to the get game instance ref. So why wouldn't we be able to go ahead and pick a ghost type? The answer to that is when the game loads, we do not know the exact order that the computer is going to calculate all of the data. So if it tries to calculate this before it calculates the level blueprint, which is where we are setting the available ghosts, it's going to throw an error, or it's just going to be like nothing's going to happen. How do we fix that? It's as simple as this. Create some space between these two. Hold in D, click, and we're going to get a delay. This simply tells the computer, hey, wait 0.2 seconds before you pick a ghost type. This happens so fast, it's usually visually not even something you can see, even if it's something spawning. But it's enough time to delay. If you ever have issues where it's like, I know that this is set up right, but it's still throwing errors, maybe increase the delay slightly. I've never had to, but someone warned me that you might have to, so I'm going to warn you that you might have to. Okay. Woo! To make sure everyone is caught up, we are going to do a quick summary of what we just went over. You can skip ahead if that's something you do not want, but I think it's important. We created 4 quadrants in the level blueprint. All we did was we took those quadrants and added them in the order in which we wanted the ghost to go in. So for example, the northwest, then the west. And that happens as soon as the level loads. Those paths get created and we have that data. Then we created a parent ghost, BP. And the reason we did that, and we made it a character, and the reason we did that is because this is going to hold all the data that is true for all ghosts. And it is a character because it has character movement, which we're going to need, and it comes with some default settings that will make it easier for us to just make this something that can move around. Then we created an available ghosts integer, and we're going to change the available ghosts per level simply due to we don't know which ghosts we want, or we don't want all ghosts on all levels. So we're going to limit that by creating a variable called available ghosts in the level blueprint. So that way when we create additional levels, we can change that number. We're storing that number in a game instance. So that way the parent ghost has access to it. For example, now that we have the game instance ref, we can pull it out. We can drag off and we can get available ghosts. I hope that helped. For those that skipped ahead, all we did was pull this out and get available ghosts. Okay. So what we need to do now is we need to set the available ghosts, which actually, you know what? We're actually going to create a custom event for this. This is going to be 2 parts instead of 1. Go ahead and create or I always type in create. Let's make a custom event. And we're going to call this set available ghosts. And it's going to be as simple as getting available ghosts out of the game instance ref and setting its available ghosts to the exact value as the one in the parent ghost, which of course is delayed by 0.2 seconds because we don't know how the game is going to load. Again, I know this is a heavy episode. I'm doing my best. Let me know if you have any questions. What we need to do, though, is we need to delete this out and go ahead and change it to set available ghosts since we added that extra step there. So now we know that our parent ghost is going to always have available ghosts be set as 1 whenever it spawns in. So now we know that whenever a ghost spawns in, which by the way, we might actually have to not put this on event begin play. I just had an interesting thought. So I had to rethink that just slightly. So what we're going to do, because it's not going to be there at begin play, is instead we are going to create another blueprint that's going to make this possible. Go ahead and hit Control Space. And in our blueprints, specifically actors, we're going to create a new blueprint class, an actor, and we're going to call this spawn location. Underscore BP, sorry, forgot. We're going to open that up, and we are going to add a box collision, much like the other one. And we're going to go to the event graph. Go ahead and compile and save, by the way, so we have access to the box. Delete all of this. And what we're going to do is on the box overlap. So we're going to add an event on component begin overlap. We're going to make sure that the other actor is the cast a ghost parent. As ghost parent, we're going to set available ghosts like that. So what just happened? Basically, we're gonna spawn all of our ghosts inside of this box. So whenever the ghost spawns, it will immediately overlap this box. This is going to check and make sure that whatever just overlapped it is the parent ghost, or in this case, any of our ghosts. This is another reason making child blueprints is so important, by the way, because now we can make child blueprints, and this is going to work for every single one. And then we're just calling the function within whatever ghost just spawned to set available ghosts. And if you head to the parent ghost, set available ghosts is the thing that gets the game instance ref and sets the available ghosts. Which reminds me, we basically can't use event begin play. We're just going to delete that out. We're actually going to have to do that all within the spawn location BP. Go ahead and drag this out and disconnect these for the moment. As parent ghost, we're also going to go ahead and get game instance ref. So we're going to get the game instance ref and then make sure you plug the target back in. I like to use 2 little dots to make this look nice and clean like that. And so now, because we can't do it on event begin play, we're just going to do it like this. When ghosts spawn, set their game ref and available ghosts. Compile and save. Okay, back here in the parent ghost, I just made a comment here. Now all we have is get the game instance ref and set the available ghosts. Now we're going to pick a ghost type. So now we know that the available ghosts we have, it says 0 if you look at the default value, but that's because we're going to have it set whenever they spawn. We know that as long as it is less than or equal, oh, I hit the wrong button, less than or equal to the available ghosts, we know that it's a ghost that it can be. What we're going to do is right click and type in random int. It should be random integer in range like this. So actually we don't even need this boolean. We have the available ghosts. So we can just take available ghosts. That's the max it can be on this random integer. And the minimum it can be is 0. So we're going to go ahead and get ghost types. And we're going to pull out of it and say random. Get random array item. Or wait, no. Get a copy. Get a copy, not random, because random's happening here. We are going to get a copy, and the address is going to be the random number that it picked out of this little node here. And then what we'll do is we will pull ghost type over and hit set. And now, as soon as it spawns, it will get a ghost type. Go ahead and hit comment, pick ghost type based on random integer. So head back over to the spawn location BP, drag your comment out a little bit and hit spawn. Oh, wait, no. Pull out of this little blue line here and hit pick ghost type. Then make your nodes nice and clean like that. Boom. So as soon as it spawns, it will update its information and become a specific type of ghost. Awesome. I am going to end this one here. I know we didn't visually create anything, but we got so much foundation complete, and I don't want to add even more to your plate. Please watch this video as many times as you need to digest what happened and understand the components that we used. Understand the game instance, understand the level blueprint, and basically how arrays work, which I hammer on a lot. I hope you liked it. Please like, comment, and subscribe, or dislike if you disliked it. And if you did dislike it, leave a comment, by the way. I would love to know what I can do to improve. If you'd like to support me so I can continue to make these free videos and free games, which are on my itch.io, I have my Patreon down below, and I'll see you guys in the next video. For those of you that stuck around that wanted to know why I said I was scared to make this episode, it was because I knew it was going to be complicated. And these videos have been quite successful. So whenever you're a creator like me, and I'm sure a lot of you are going to relate, you're usually a bit of a perfectionist as well. Well, whenever I saw that the videos were doing well and I knew that I was going to have to really put myself out there to make this video, I was scared that it wasn't going to be good. I was scared it wasn't going to be good enough for you guys and it wasn't going to live up to my own standards. So what it did was paralyze me into not making the video at all. However, I want to share this with you to let you know that this is very normal. So if this happens to you as well, know that it's very common, but I would like you to think about it like this. And the reason that I made this video at all is because perfectionism is the biggest enemy of good enough. You can't ever hit perfect. It's impossible. But if you never do it at all, it will never be good enough because it won't exist. So next time you feel scared that something's not going to be good enough, just do it anyway. Worst case scenario, you'll have to do it again. But at least it will be there and it'll be good enough. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next video.